In this presentation, we'll go over the third step of the writing process, drafting. In this step, you'll work to convert your outline from the structuring step into a fully developed essay. By the end of this presentation, you should be able to list several tips to help you prepare for drafting an essay, choose specific words to add rhetorical effects and set the tone for your writing, construct various types of sentences, and develop strong introduction, body, and conclusion paragraphs. Drafting tends to be the step that is most dreaded by students, but it doesn't have to be. Let's go over a few tips to help you get through this step. Avoid procrastination. With so many strict rules hammered into them by teachers in the past, students are more apt to making mistakes, which means lower grades and ugly red marks on their papers. Because of this, they despise writing and take very few risks to make improvements, procrastinate the writing process, and then become more anxious about it as the assignment's due date approaches. This cycle of procrastination has a snowball effect, making students loathe writing even more each time they attempt it. To avoid procrastination and make the drafting process a little easier, don't forget to refer back to what you learned about establishing a writing ritual and preparing to write. Set up a comfortable writing environment. Reduce distractions. Reread the instructions of the writing assignment, and review your writing schedule and make adjustments if you need to. If you dread writing, consider writing in chunks. Set a timer for 1 or 2 hours and commit to writing until the timer goes off. By then, you may decide that you've got a good flow going and prefer to keep writing. If not, then you can take a break and pat yourself on the back for following through with your commitment. Better yet, offer yourself a reward when you complete a writing session. Watch some TV, play games, or take a nap. Another benefit to writing in chunks is that by taking breaks between writing, you're giving your brain time to process the material on a subconscious level. You're likely to return to your next writing session with fresh ideas and more enthusiasm. Here are a few other tips for writing your draft. If you struggle the most with writing your introduction, start with your first body paragraph instead. There's no rule that says you have to begin your writing at the beginning of your essay. If you can't seem to get started on your writing, consider rereading some of your sources or finding new sources. Sometimes this will inspire new ideas and motivate you to write a paragraph or two. Ask for help if you need it. Your professor may be able to help you narrow down your topic, or you can schedule a tutoring session to help you organize your thoughts. Keep in mind that your first draft doesn't have to be your final draft. If you follow the writing process, you will also dedicate some time to revising and editing your work. Sometimes it can be satisfying just to get something down on the paper. You can always go back and reshape your ideas later on in the process. When drafting an essay, you'll need to consider how you use words, sentences, and paragraphs to shape your ideas. First, let's talk a little bit about choosing words. Word choice, or choosing specific words with purpose, can make a huge difference in your writing. For example, word choice can add different rhetorical effects, make your writing more clear, and set the voice and tone of your writing. As you choose your words, it's important to keep a few rhetorical elements in mind. Before you begin drafting, review your genre, topic, purpose, and audience. What you're writing about plays a big role in word choice. For example, let's look at a process analysis, such as an instruction manual for putting together a coffee table. The overall purpose of the manual is to instruct the reader how to complete a task. Generally, build-it-yourself furniture is sold to a wide range of average buyers, many of whom only have the most basic knowledge about constructing furniture, like using a screwdriver or tightening a wing nut. With these considerations in mind, The manual would probably use words that are very plain and simple. Use transition words that indicate the passage of time, like first, next, and finally, to make the instructions clear and easy to follow, and avoid technical terms whenever possible that the reader may not be familiar with. Words can also help set your overall tone for writing. For example, a narrative with a calm and peaceful tone might use words like warm, quiet, and still, while a narrative with a suspenseful tone might use words like suddenly, quickly, and afraid. A children's book would use a playful and happy tone and very short and simple words, avoiding advanced vocabulary. A text to your friend might use informal language, including abbreviated words, slang, and even emojis, while an email to your boss would use more formal wording, such as "Dear Sir" for a salutation, or "Sincerely" or "Best regards" as closing lines. When drafting your essay, be sure to choose appropriate words that help set the overall voice and tone that you're aiming for. Next, drafting requires you to construct sentences to shape your ideas. Just like with choosing words, writing sentences also requires you to think about rhetorical elements like genre, topic, purpose, and audience. That's because different sentence constructions can have different effects on your writing overall. Let's look at some of our previous examples. Remember that the instruction manual we discussed is a process analysis that seeks to instruct an audience with only basic construction knowledge about how to put together a table. A manual like this would likely use short, simple, or compound sentences that begin with transition words and end with an instructive command. For example, first connect part A to part B. Sentences in the manual are likely to include only the most basic information necessary to complete the task. If the sentences are too complex or include too much information, readers may become confused and have a hard time following the instructions. Sentence construction can also contribute to the overall voice and tone of your writing. A narrative with a calm and peaceful tone might use long, drawn-out sentences to lull the reader into a relaxed mood. These sentences might use a combination of structures that are compound, complex, or compound complex. On the other hand, a narrative with a suspenseful tone might, at times, use short, choppy, simple sentences to express a feeling of fear or panic. A children's book would use short, simple sentences that are very easy to follow. A text to your friend may be so informal that it doesn't even use complete sentences, while an email to your boss would use complete, compound, complex, or compound complex sentence structures with a more formal style. Lastly, consider whether you should use sentence constructions that use the active voice or the passive voice. In most cases, you'll want to use the active voice because it is more direct and easier to understand. Generally, argumentative essays use the active voice. Occasionally, though, the passive voice can be helpful when you want to emphasize the recipient of the action in a sentence. Let's look at some examples. To identify whether a sentence is active or passive, first find the verb. In an active construction, the subject of the sentence directly performs the action. For example, the dog bit the man. In a passive construction, the subject receives the action. For example, the man was bitten by the dog. To make a passive construction active, bring the subject from the by phrase closer to the beginning of the sentence. Sometimes, writers omit the subject and the by phrase in a passive construction. Don't let this fool you. For example, the backpack was stolen. Though it's not explicitly stated, we know that the backpack had to have been stolen by someone. If you want to make a passive construction without a subject and by phrase active, add the missing subject and bring it closer to the beginning of the sentence. For example, someone stole the backpack. Overall, the construction of your sentences will depend on your purpose for writing and the effects that you're trying to achieve. Most of the time, you should aim to use a variety of sentence constructions throughout your writing. Like music, writing with sentence variety gives your prose a natural rhythm similar to that of speech. Using the same sentence structures over and over again will cause your writing to appear overly simplistic and make your reader think that you didn't put much effort into it. Though structures like these may get your message across, they won't hold your reader's attention. Consider reading your essay out loud to a friend to see if the rhythm of your sentences resembles that of a natural conversation. Finally, when drafting, you'll need to separate your ideas and develop paragraphs. A good place to start when drafting paragraphs is to refer back to the outline that you created in the structuring step of the writing process. Aim to write at least one paragraph for each main point that uses Roman numerals in your outline. The average academic essay will dedicate one paragraph to your introduction, at least 3 body paragraphs to your supporting points, and 1 paragraph to your conclusion. First, we'll talk a little bit about developing body paragraphs, then we'll go over writing introductions and conclusions. Paragraphs have a few basic elements. First, each paragraph should focus on one main idea, which is generally stated in a topic sentence at the beginning of the paragraph. That's because when you read the first sentence of a paragraph, you automatically make an assumption regarding what that paragraph is going to be about. The remaining sentences in the paragraph should focus on developing the main idea stated in the topic sentence. Paragraphs should also be coherent. Just like in everyday speech, there should be a logical connection and relationship between each sentence or complete thought. Using transition words and phrases is a good way to help readers follow your train of thought by connecting sentences, paragraphs, and ideas. In a well-developed paragraph, the second sentence must be related to the first sentence in some way, and so on. This relationship can either be coordinating or subordinating. Coordinating sentences will be similar or equal in nature, while subordinating sentences have an unequal relationship, meaning one depends on the other. Let's look at an example. A typical response to the question, "How was your day?" might go something like this. My day was pretty good. I went to work and finally got the raise I've been waiting for. I also ate some really good soup for lunch from that new restaurant down the street. At the end of the day, I stopped by the gym and had a great workout. In this example, we can see that the paragraph begins with the topic sentence. My day was pretty good. The remaining 3 sentences in the paragraph list reasons that support the topic sentence and are therefore subordinate to the topic sentence. And because each of the remaining sentences are similar in nature, they all list reasons why the person's day was good, they are coordinate with each other. Notice too how the paragraph uses transition words and phrases like also and at the end of the day to connect ideas and show the passage of time. Experienced writers will develop paragraphs that are more complex, using multiple levels of subordination and coordination to connect ideas. In this example, the topic sentence poses a question, and each remaining sentence seeks to answer that question in some way, often building on material from previous sentences by providing supporting reasons and specific evidence. Diagramming paragraphs like this can be a good way to make sure that each sentence is connected by one overall main idea. If you come across a sentence in your paragraph that cannot be connected to the main idea expressed in the topic sentence, then that sentence does not belong in the paragraph and should be taken out. Writing an opening paragraph, usually referred to as the introduction, is a little different. Generally, the introduction should grab the reader's attention, announce your topic, and state your thesis. When writing your introduction, keep in mind that the first sentence of an essay has a lot of power and should aim to make a good impression. Try to begin your introduction with a hook that grabs your reader's attention and makes them want to read more. You could open with a relevant quotation, a thought-provoking question, a short anecdote or story, a startling fact, a vivid image or example, or an unusual opinion about your topic. For example, an essay on climate change might begin with a startling fact, like the past decade has been the hottest in recorded history and it's only going to get worse. Next, your introduction should announce your topic by discussing why it's important, working from general ideas to more specific ideas. You can accomplish this by expanding on your hook or by showing readers how the topic relates to them. The overall goal should simply be to introduce your topic and invite your readers to join you in an intellectual discussion. Remember that an introduction serves as your first impression on the reader. Spend some time on it and be creative. Avoid blatantly stating your topic by using lines like, "In this essay, I'll discuss," or "This essay will focus on." These statements require no effort and will not hold your reader's interest. End your introduction with a clear thesis that states your overall claim and lists your supporting points. After reading your introduction, your reader should have a clear idea as to what points you'll be discussing in your body paragraphs and the order in which you'll discuss them. Keep your introduction brief and to the point. You'll have plenty of time to discuss your supporting points in your body paragraphs. Finally, your conclusion should reiterate your thesis and supporting points and wrap up your topic in light of the new information you've presented in your body paragraphs. Avoid using the exact same wording that you used in your introduction, but keep your supporting points in order. Your conclusion should show why your topic matters by briefly discussing the implications of your argument, asking a thought-provoking question, calling for your reader to take action, or referring back to something discussed in your introduction. The goal of your conclusion should be to make a lasting impact on your reader. Overall, drafting an essay may seem daunting at first, but you can drastically reduce your writing anxiety by following the tips discussed in this presentation. Remember that spending time on the invention and structuring steps of the writing process will make drafting your essay much easier. Be sure to schedule plenty of time for writing sessions, take regular breaks, and reward yourself often as you work to draft your essay one word, one sentence, and one paragraph at a time. Let's review. In this presentation, we discussed how to list several tips to help you prepare for drafting an essay, choose specific words to add rhetorical effects and set the tone for your writing, construct various types of sentences, and develop strong introduction, body, and conclusion paragraphs. Thanks for watching.